When the masses feel that the rulers are bad or horrible, they change them, and sometimes they change them, like the way the Sri Lankans did in Sinhala this month. Similarly, in Iraq, Saddam Hussein was quite rude and brutal to some sections of the Iraqi people. And that time, America and many Western powers used the opportunity to cut down the size of Saddam Hussein. And they got the occupying people, forces got a lot of support from a section of people. They are large in numbers. Looking at the British occupation in India, we know that except a few cases, like say Tipu Sultan in southern India or other places, mostly they had a cakewalk, and the kings were a few hundred. Some are big, called Maharajas, and some are smaller. All the places, even the big Maharajas with a couple of crores of subjects, they couldn't fight the Britishers because the people were against them. The people didn't support the then rulers, who were anti-people, who didn't have a good system of governance. So expecting a better system of governance, people wanted change, and the Britishers came and ruled. And they gave governance through rule of law. After the 1857 rebellion, where Indians rebelled against the bad things in the Englishman's governance system, there was a change. And immediately after 57, the rule of law started in India, and by 1860, 61, 62, that era, a lot of laws were introduced. All the acts, IPC, all the acts we have in India, most of them were made or were introduced in India in 1860s. And the Britishers knew that if they don't go to another level of governance, they cannot control the masses. Nowhere in the world it is possible to really suppress the masses for a very long time. Yes, in governance you can use tricks to divide the people, but for how long that will work? That can work temporarily, but in the long run, people desire and deserve good governance. Again, going back, when a small group of people from Afghanistan with a few horses came to India and conquered many parts of India, mostly North India, whom we call later as Mughals. How could they conquer? It's because People wanted a change. The then rulers were very bad. It's a comparative statement. People wanted better. People wanted change. So Babur could occupy large parts of India. And surely for those 200 years, it was a change. And every change which lasts for a significant period is usually better. They also brought new systems. When Sher Shah came from Iran, he introduced updated systems of governance, which we didn't have. Like all the land records, he introduced them, and till now we use the same, almost the same system and the same record. Look at the names: Rasid, Dalil, Pauti. These words used in revenue matters now are Iranian words. And second thing, he also introduced a systematic judiciary, not the rule of the king. King's voice is the first voice and last voice, and everyone is at the mercy. That's what we had in India. But he introduced a new system. So all these words of Mahakil, Okil, they are all introduced by Sher Shah. And the whole subcontinent of India learnt new things from Iran. That's how things have become richer, with new people coming, new culture coming in, new system of administration coming in, with new rulers. Then we didn't have this kind of internets, not so many libraries where people can go read, and not so much of intellectual exchanges. So that is how change of rulers, new things came. And it is ultimately the people. When people want change, if the change cannot happen internally, change will happen with the support of external powers, and that is how it happens. It's like a hurricane, you cannot stop it. You can delay the process, but change will come. So, as decent countrymen, as lovers of our country, we have to be careful that people have to be happy. To exploit them using little tricks here and there, dividing, cannot take us far. And if a lot of people have a lot of dissatisfaction, then a hurricane is a must. And the trick to suppress the people, like the way they did in America, by creating fear and by dividing the communities, will have its own dangerous consequences. And Americans are facing it. Many Americans have become psychotic out of fear, because there is a lot of fear within, and there is a lot of kind of imaginary fear from outside, that they could be attacked. So, a decent country where there are people who can see the future will have to think how to satisfy the people's aspirations. That is how a steady country can grow. I think all the well-meaning people should think of it and work together. Jai Hind.